Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?
Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets.
But whom say ye that I am?
Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God.
Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah. For flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father, which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
My brothers and sisters, in today's gospel, we find Jesus walking with his disciples, and in the course of their conversation, he asks them, "Who do people say that I am?" After all, Jesus had been preaching to the crowds of people, curing the sick, and casting out evil spirits. And it was a natural thing that he wondered who people thought he was. The answers that his disciples gave showed that most of the people didn't have any idea who Jesus really was. So he put the question to his disciples, "Who do you think that I am?" After all, they had spent a lot of time with Jesus, eating with him, praying with him, walking through the countryside with him, and witnessing all the miracles that he had performed. Jesus wanted to see if they had any inkling about who he really was. And it was Peter who said, "You are the Christ." That is, you are the Messiah, the Anointed One. That was the correct answer. But yet, Jesus tells his disciples not to tell anyone about him. This sounds so contrary to what we hear from people like Pope Francis, who tells us how important it is to evangelize, to tell people about who Jesus is and how important he is in our lives. But here we have Jesus telling his disciples not to tell people who he is. And that's because Jesus knew that even though Peter had the right answer, he and others really didn't understand what being the Messiah was all about and how it would affect their lives. Most of the Jews at the time of Jesus held to believe that the Messiah would be a powerful military hero who would conquer their enemies, especially the Romans who were occupying their country. But that wasn't what Jesus came to do. It is true that he was a liberator, but he came to liberate us from sin, not from the occupying Roman army. He would liberate us not through military power, but through love, mercy, service, and most importantly, through suffering, dying, and rising for the sake of those he loves. Jesus told his disciples and the crowds who were gathering around him that if they wanted to be his disciples, they would have to deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow him. They would have to put God first in their lives, even to the point where they may have to suffer because of it. They would also have to carry their cross by accepting the trials and challenges that they faced in their daily lives. And for many, this was hard to accept. Even Peter, who professed that Jesus was the Messiah, couldn't accept this at first. It would only be after denying Jesus 3 times and then witnessing firsthand that Jesus suffered, died, and then rose from the dead on the 3rd day that Peter would be able to understand the type of Messiah that Jesus really was. And then he would be willing to accept his own cross. Even today, many followers of Jesus have the mistaken idea that if God really loves us, things would always be good and we wouldn't have to suffer. Jesus asked each of us that same question that he asked his disciples. Who do you say that I am? And how we answer that question determines how we will live our lives. Do we try to make Jesus into the Messiah who we want him to be by placing our own agenda over God's plans? Or making Jesus into a type of powerful miracle worker who we only turn to when times are bad and things aren't going our way? Or do we make the effort to get to know who Jesus really is in order to become his disciple? Jesus clearly states that discipleship requires self-denial, taking up one's cross and following him. One must be willing to let go of a life that seeks power, wealth, prestige, honor, and glory. Real-life discipleship means letting one's old life go and embracing a new life of service, of love, of forgiveness, of giving oneself for others. That's what the gospel is all about. I'd like to close by sharing a short story that illustrates what it means to carry your cross, even if we don't know the reason behind it. There was a young lady named Brenda who went rock climbing with a group of her friends. Everything started out well, but about halfway to the top of the cliff, Brenda came to a ledge and decided to stop and take a rest. But as she did so, one of the safety ropes that was holding her slapped her across her face, causing her to lose one of her contact lenses. Well, here she was on a rock ledge with hundreds of feet below her and hundreds of feet above her. She looked around her, hoping her contact lens had landed on the ledge, but it just wasn't there. Here she was, far from home, and her sight was now very blurry. She was desperate and began to get upset, so she prayed to God to help her find a contact lens. When she got to the top of the cliff, a friend examined her eye and her clothing for the lens, but there was no contact lens to be found. Finally, the group that she was with walked down a trail to the bottom. And at the bottom, there was a new party of climbers just starting up the face of the cliff. And one of them shouted out, "Hey, you guys, anybody lose a contact lens?" Well, that would be startling enough. But you know why the climber saw it? It seems he saw an ant moving slowly across the face of a rock, carrying it. After retrieving her contact lens, Brenda told her father the story of how she lost her contact lens, how she had gotten upset and prayed to God, and how an ant found her contact lens. Her father, being a cartoonist, drew a cartoon of an ant carrying that contact lens with the caption, "Lord, I don't know why you want me to carry this thing. I can't eat it, and it's awful heavy. If this is what you want me to do, I will carry it for you." We all have our own cross to carry, and many times we don't understand why we must carry it, or we feel that it is too heavy for us. But Jesus challenges us to carry our cross. In the Eucharist, we unite our sufferings with the suffering, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And today, may our prayer be, God, I don't know why you want me to carry this cross. I can see no good in it, and it's awful heavy. But if you want me to carry it, I will. May God bless each and every one of you.
Jezus, najwyższe imię, nasz Zbawiciel, Książę pokoju, Emmanuel, Bóg jest z nami. Odkupiciel, słowo żywota. Święty Bóg, Mesjasz prawdziwy, jedyny Ojca Syn, umiłowany, zgładził grzech, baranek na wieki, królów król i Panów Pan. Jezus, najwyższe imię, nasz Zbawiciel, Książę pokoju, Emmanuel, Bóg jest z nami, Odkupiciel, słowo żywota. Święty Bóg, Mesjasz prawdziwy, jedyny Ojca Syn, umiłowany,